The world's first Dragon Ball theme park is announced. Sonic is getting a Fall Guys clone, and the $140 million Will Smith game that makes no sense.
How can you stop?
I'm Ash Dixon, and this is Jinx News. Construction is to commence for the world's first and only Dragon Ball theme park, and no, it's not in Japan. Confusingly, it's being built in Saudi Arabia. The main centerpiece will be a 70-meter Shenron dragon, and it will house its very own roller coaster, and there's plans for 5 state-of-the-art rides as part of 30+ attractions. In total, it will span a massive 500,000 square meters and will feature 7 different areas across the original series, such as Kame House and the Capsule Corporation. It will be located just outside of Riyadh and is part of Qiddiya, the country's huge entertainment and tourism mega project. And for Dragon Ball fans, it's hard not to look at this and feel excited, especially as we're all still mourning the loss of the late Akira Toriyama. But the choice of location has got a pretty mixed reaction, to say the least. First of all, it's safe to say that Saudi Arabia would not be the first choice for most people interested in this. When you take into account flights, hotels, and theme park tickets, well, this is basically only going to be reserved for wealthy fans. You've got the climate issue too, as temperatures regularly exceed 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the time of year that you visit. And then obviously there's the glaring human rights violations of Saudi Arabia. Now, over on places like Twitter, there are Saudis in full force trying to shut down people for even suggesting that this is an issue. You know, despite many human rights organizations like Amnesty International or Human Rights Watch being very clear about the country's mistreatment of women, migrant workers, and the LGBTQ+ community. But then again, we have this Saudi dude tweeting, "Saudi women did not ask for your opinion. Saudi women are respectable, not like some American women who are b****s." And well, wow, I'm convinced. Back to the theme park though, and obviously it's still many years away, and there's a massive question whether it will get the footfall needed to justify such a huge investment, because it's not just the Dragon Ball theme park. As part of Qiddiya, there's also going to be a Six Flags and a water park alongside sports stadiums, a racetrack, and a gaming and esports district. It's very ambitious, to say the least. So I'm curious what you think. Are you happy to see a Dragon Ball theme park come into existence? Would you go and visit yourself? Do let me know down in the comments. On to more colourful news now, as we head over to the world of Sega, because a new Sonic game has apparently leaked online and it's looking pretty familiar. A Japanese trailer has been uploaded to Twitter and, well, it looks very similar to Fall Guys. It's called Sonic Toys Party, and well, you'd be forgiven for thinking it's basically Fall Guys with a big old Sonic skin thrown on top of it. You're thrust into a match with a load of other players in what's seemingly a race to the finish line. There are Sonic-themed obstacle courses that are based on levels from the mainline game, like this here Chemical Plant one and this Silent Forest level. And it looks just as chaotic, read bat crazy, as Fall Guys, which, to be honest, is no bad thing. But it does seem like there's just enough here to set it apart, as there are a bunch of baddies in your way and rings to collect. And obviously you can play as any of the main Sonic characters. Tails, Shadow, Amy, Knuckles, they're all in there to play. We do also get a brief look at the game's monetization systems. There's a free option up here, but there also seems to be a premium battle pass, which is hardly surprising these days. One thing that we know for sure is that it'll be a mobile game, which fits into Sega's strategy to release more games on Android and iOS in the near future. And you know, I'm honestly surprised that it's taken them this long to do this. Fall Guys was such a huge hit, and just a few weeks ago we talked about Super Monkey Ball, Banana Rumble, and how an IP like that would be ripe for a battle royale. If the rumors are to be believed, Sonic Toys Party will be with us in Q3 or 4 this year. But clearly, Takeshi's Castle style battle royales are all the rage right now, as another game, Rumble Club, launches in just under a month. So clearly, the genre isn't going anywhere. Everyone is talking about the $140 million Will Smith zombie game that launched last year, which is a nice change of speed because up until now it seems no one knew it existed. But for good reason, because it's an absolute mess of a game. Now, I won't dive into this too much because Donkey released a video on it over the weekend, which shared the huge abomination to the masses. It's called Undawn, and it's an open world zombie survival shooter that launched on PC and mobile back in June last year. It was made by Chinese conglomerate Tencent, and apparently it had over 300 developers on it, so God knows what they were all doing. And Will Smith actually advertised it in an awkwardly scripted video posted on his YouTube back in May. The highlight being the zombie reveal, where it's just straight up wearing a gas mask. Now, I imagine this is to do with the strict Chinese laws around the depiction of blood, but bro, you've legit just solved the zombie apocalypse. That thing ain't eating anyone. As to how this absolute monstrosity came to exist, we don't officially know, but I think it's safe to assume it's the same old story. A game has a troubled development, there's some back and forth trying to fix it, and eventually the publisher just cuts its losses and ships it as is. Either way, it's yet more proof that in the world of gaming, slapping on a famous face or a beloved IP simply isn't enough to get people to buy. But that might just be because we're all wearing gas masks. And now it's time for a rapid-fast quick-fire round. The new expansion for Final Fantasy XIV has a release date, with early access starting on June 28th and the full release kicking off on July the 2nd. It's called Dawntrail, and the game's director, Yoshida Naoki, joked that everyone will be playing the Elden Ring DLC that month, so they set their launch 1 week after. Firstly, thank you, and secondly, I can't help but feel this partly because Yoshi P will be playing Shadow of the Erdtree himself. Next up, rumour has it that Resident Evil 9 could be open world. A Twitter user known as Duskgone is behind the leak and has a fairly solid track record on these things. Now, Resident Evil Village already experimented in some semi-open world segments, and while a fully open world version may raise some eyebrows, apparently Capcom seem keen to retain the DNA of the series. And I'm interested in where they're planning to set this thing. Are we going to see a huge decaying Raccoon City, or are they going for a more rural approach where you have to survive in the wilderness? Let me know what you would like to see. Also, just very quickly, we now have a Patreon known as Jinx Plus. You can support the channel and get a whole load of content all in one place. Just scan the QR code or check out the link in the description. And last but not least, ever wondered what Helldivers 2 would look like on the Wii? No? Well, allow Twitter user GetMad to show you anyway. If anything, the short video induces nightmares by reimagining the stratagems with motion controls. Also, I appreciate the visceral flashbacks at this screen about recalibrating the Wiimote. God, those were the days. And that's it for today. You can catch up on Friday's news somewhere around here. And why not like and subscribe so you don't miss out in the future. We'll see you tomorrow.